welcome to the Zach Brown Show, the show that introduces you to old friends for the first time. I'm your host, Zach Brown. On this episode, I continue my conversation with Jason Canapp. We discuss virtually taking you to Walt Disney World, building a global community, and finding quiet moments of joy. All that and more, coming up. So you're sitting with this craziness going on. You have an idea. You've got a backlog of videos, and you're like, I'm going to do this 5 days a week. This insane goal,
we're just gonna sit there and watch videos for 30 minutes, and I don't know. It's embarrassingly audacious to think about it at this point. That I think that's the other thing.
That's how I do.
To be successful,
the best things are.
No, you're absolutely right. I think to be successful, to be entrepreneurial, to change the world, I think you have to come at it not fully thinking it through. You have to think, because if you do, then you will overthink it, and you'll begin to see all the reasons
you'll talk
why
yourself out of it.
Yeah, and maybe reasonably. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of failures that could be avoided if people would have thought it through more. But I also think there's even more. Maybe not more, but there's things that would never happen if people had thought it through more. And I don't think the lunch break would have ever happened if I had really thought it through. And because it's just so awkward. Here's this dude who's sitting in his guest room at home with these louvered doors behind him, with bifold doors behind him, that with his stupid webcam, playing videos that aren't live. I mean, there's pre-recorded videos of the places in Disney
that they could just go watch on their own.
Yeah, right. and then chatting with them while we're watching it, what? That's
it's like
weird.
saying, "Hey, the director commentary on all those DVDs?
Exactly like that.
Do you want to do that, but actually look at the person while they're doing that, or do you just want to watch the movie?" I think most people be like, "I'll just watch Pirates of the Caribbean. That's fine, thank you."
But people kept showing up, and then more people showed up, and then more people showed up, and I was like, "Okay, well, this is fine." But then it became exhausting, also.
Yeah.
And I was running out of videos. I have a lot of videos, but when you're doing 30 minutes, 5 days a week, that's a lot of videos. And so, I was, it was hard to not have things repeat. And then I was like, well, how long can we go with it before I show Galaxy's Edge again? But then things happen, like Big Little Chicken happened because of the Galaxy's Edge video. And I won't go into details about that. People just have to figure it out. You just have to figure it out.
Look it up.
And the community, and then, I don't know, this community kind of grew out of it. Not kind of grew. It did grow out of it. And me showing it. So, and then what became clear is that I needed to show up because they needed each other.
Yeah.
And it was not about me. It was about that community. It was about the relationships that they were building.
You were just facilitating the place where they were meeting.
At a relatively convenient time of day, because everyone's working from home for the most part, and it's lunchtime on the East Coast, and so hey, we'll take 30 minutes to eat a sandwich and watch this dude talk at me about Disney stuff, but mostly chat with my friends. And I don't know, it was shocking. It was surprising. It was really surprising that it worked, and now it's become such a focus of what I do that it, I'm beginning to meld the things together, to realize that, because for a long time I had this crisis of identity. This there's the lunch break, and so there's this live show thing, and then because I started going live from the parks. At first, it became like this. I'll do this every once in a while, and then it became, I'll do this every Wednesday. And then it was Christmas. It was Christmas when I decided, oh, I'm going to do this 12 days of Christmas thing. I'm going to go live from a park, like 12 shows straight. And I never stopped. But there's something to that, it's on the same plane as the videos. Like people want to be in the space.
Yeah.
And they also want the community. And they want, and Lou's been doing this thing for a long time, and a lot of other people have been doing stuff like this. And I think that the thing that makes what I do different is that the main focus, the main thrust of it is on like going after those moments that are just overlooked by most people. And I don't mean in like a way like, oh, hey, look at this, look at this detail, that we can talk for 16 hours about, the history of it. And because that stuff's really super interesting, but that's not really who I am.
Right.
I'm more of the, I know we're sitting in a rocker that's like, maybe like handcrafted by this like Imagineer who you've never heard about, but everybody should know. Right. And it's crafted of wood that you can't find anymore. And 16 people died trying to get it out of the forest. Like, I don't know, those kinds of stories.
This is a very interesting rocking chair.
But I'm just going to sit in the chair, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about and just appreciate the view.
Yeah. The view. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the difference, I think. And, and then, now beginning to expand that and to say, but wait, there's more. There's all these other places. There's all these other places that kind of, I think, resonate. Like when I was living in Colorado and taking my hike and sort of walking through the Ponderosa Pine, there were moments there where I could smell Fort Wilderness. And I was back in Disney World. There were moments there where I was looking at this, like the vista, the Garden of the Gods, and I was in Frontierland. Yeah. Because the color, it's like, oh, look, is that Thunder Mountain Mesa? Is that no? Yep. It's Garden of the Gods, but it's the same color scheme. Yeah. There's something to that. And that's when I'm having a lot of fun now exploring that element of this and saying, okay, like what else is where else in the world can we find those moments where that resonate and can connect us back to these places that we love? Because most people can't be in Disney World. Right. It's the shift. It goes from, in the same way that like the parks inspired the movies and then the movies inspired the parks, you've now had these videos that you're capturing this place. And now you're seeing where these places are reminding you of other places. It's really cool how you just flip it. And then the joy is renewed. You know what I mean? Like it's now not only about that one place, it's about what that place also triggers. And it becomes so much more deep. It's all these layers to this one view that you're looking at. It's not just the rivers of America and Magic Kingdom. You're also going, oh man, that's the river that, was next to our campsite in wherever. Or for me, every time I see the canal in Impressions de France, it reminds me of the canal behind my grandparents' house that I literally grew up on, going down in boats. I mean, it's this amazing thing that one inspires the other, inspires the other, inspires the other. And it goes back to you wanting people to be happy and wanting you to make happiness, where all these things the happiness expounds. It layers upon itself, and it becomes, I think, a truly personal experience, every little thing, as long as you take the time to find those layers. Right. And it's not lost on me that, in fact, I think it was Carlos who said, it wasn't until he went and watched Impressions de France with me that it clicked, that he realized like, oh, now I understand why it is what Jason does. Like, and it's not lost. Like, think about this for a second. We people will travel from all over the world to come to Walt Disney World and to go to Epcot Center. And they'll go and sit in a theater in France, in fake France, and watch a movie about a real place.
Instead of going to that place.
Well, but why is that? Because they can't.
Right.
Or because it takes a lot of effort, or because that place just doesn't exist the way it once did at that point when it was filmed like that. Like and yes, we do that in the movies that Disney has in the pavilions and so forth, but we also do that in attractions. I say we, like I'm part of Disney, but like Disney, we transport people, like we are transported by Disney attractions and to these places that we could go to the real place.
Right.
That's not the point. The point is that we want this emotion. We want this experience. Right. And so, because
not everybody's going to go on an African safari, but you can go to Animal Kingdom and get the safari and be guaranteed that you don't have to take any sort of crazy journey shots and horrible weather. You're going to be like, yep, I'm going to go see a giraffe. Like, that.
Right. Or soaring around the world, which we won't talk about much, but soaring around the world where, you can go, very briefly, have this sort of bird's eye view and journey through the Taj Mahal area. Even though it's digitized and whatever. Because I've been to the Taj Mahal. It takes a lot of effort to get there. A lot of effort. So most people won't ever do that. And I'm not going to sit in judgment and say, like, oh, people should do that, or they should do this, or they shouldn't. Like, that's not the point. The point is that I now recognize, like, oh, wait, I have a role to play in helping people to have as close to a real experience as possible in terms of being in these spaces and places and bringing their community, their friends and their family along with them for that experience. And maybe, just maybe, it will inspire somebody to go to one of these places, or maybe it'll just scratch the itch enough.
Yeah.
That's exciting. That, to me, like, that's super exciting, because now I'm continuing in this tradition of people who will either like make these films for, the guys who think about the guys back in the 1950s who were like mounting the giant, what do they call the 360 camera that Disney used for their 360 films. Anyway, they would mount them on top of the trucks and stuff, and they like drive them around. And like, those guys were kind of doing the same thing. The people who were making Viewmaster slides and stuff back, in the 60s and 70s, like, same thing, same idea. Let's transport people to these places.
Yeah.
And that 5-year-old Jason, who was just like mesmerized by the Taj Mahal in the Wonders of the World Viewmaster series, which I still have sitting right over there. Like, it inspired me to go there, to visit that place.
Right.
Right. So like, I think that there's something of value there. I think there's importance in that work. That at the same time, provides this just kind of moment of joy for somebody that brings them a little bit of happiness. And now I see that also, we can do this also with the community. So we can actually cover multiple bases. It's not just about escape. It's not just about armchair travel. It's not just about kind of returning people or exposing them to some new place or space that they haven't been able to get to, but they can do it with their friends. And they can do it with their family. That's pretty cool. I kind of dig that, like and we live in this time, we're blessed to live in this time where we have the technology, like we have the means available to us to actually be able to do that without the same level of effort that it would have taken, even just a decade ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I got like really like.
No, I love that.
Like deep there for a second.
Hang on for a second. We got something to tell you.
Come on in to Carl's Arcade, where we have all the hottest video games, including Legend Seekers, Ninja Academy, and Jackalope Hunter.
Wow!
You're darn right, wow. At Carl's Arcade, you can win fun prizes, eat the cheesiest pizza, and try the all-new Tube of Mystery.
All right, so just put your hand in there and try to guess what it is. Is it pudding? Nope. Is it peanut butter? Wrong again. Well, what is it, mister? You don't want to know.
Located conveniently near the Windjammer Mall, behind Penny's Popsicles. Carl's Arcade. Live your adventure today.
Oh, boy!
So with the technology that we have now and the readily accessible connectivity that we have through mediums such as Facebook or Instagram, you've made a way for people all over to connect. Like you said that we don't, it's not that they can't go to these places like the Taj Mahal or Rio, France or whatever, but it's just maybe not as convenient, or it's not maybe financially feasible at this point. And so we want to feel connected to these places. We want to be able to see them and be a part of them and bring them into our day, you know? And so you've got this thing going on called Wanderlust Wednesday, which is a wonderful idea because, yeah, there's tie-in with the lunch break show and there's that whole deal. But again, it is affording your community this chance to, one, see other things that they might not be aware of, but two, and I think the really important part of this is someone is getting a chance to share something that they connect with, something that they love, something that really means something to them. They're getting to share this with their friends. You know, when you have a recipe that you like, or a movie or a song, when you really love it, it's like the gospel. You have to go share it with people. You know what I mean? You're like, you would become an evangelist for this new John Mayer song or this, whatever Robert Downey Jr. movie. Like, you have to see this thing. And so these people have these experiences, they have these places, they have these events, and you give these prompts, whether it is a river or it's a baseball experience or a tree, something as simple as a tree. What tree that, whatever it means to you, the Jason tree, the Zach tree is something different, or the Tiffany tree, whatever. Everybody has a tree that they've seen and that they have, and to be able to share that, it's so special. It's literally taking the world and making it so much smaller. And now, Johnny on the West Coast, who's never met Sue over in England, is able to connect with that person. And they would have had no reason to ever have any interaction with them or even be aware of their existence on this earth at the same exact time in history. And now, because of this opportunity that you provided them, they not only know who each other are, but have this awareness of this other person's passion or interest. It's phenomenal when you think of it that way.
And scary. Because I don't even think of it as something that I have provided. It's like they've provided it, right? They that's the beauty, I think, of what we're trying to do with the Wanderlust Wednesday is getting, like, I feel like I'm the person, I have the easy job. Like I say, think of a tree, and then all of a sudden, you got some trees that people are sharing. We actually haven't done trees yet, so we need to do trees. But it's not just about sharing your favorite thing. It's hopefully also about inspiring people to recognize, or even to look for, to be like, to open, to like dial into that channel, so you can be aware of it, so that you see it. You see what you didn't see before. You know, how many times do we pass by something,
Mm-hmm.
or even places that do bring us joy, you know, whether it's a local coffee shop or a local beach or whatever. And eventually you take it for granted.
Sure.
It just becomes part of your everyday thing. And,
But for somebody else, it's the most magical thing ever.
that's the thing. Right.
Mm.
And that's why I think, and that's what, it's not the important, my role is to ask the questions, like what, or just kind of send the invitation out, like share this thing, whatever, you know, this thing happens to be that week. And hopefully that then inspires people to start thinking like, oh, that's right. There's this place near my house, or this place where I vacationed as a kid, or this place that I loved, and I would, and then I have a picture of it and I can share it.
And it renews that joy of that place, or that thing for them as well.
Because it's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Because it will live forever. Like as long, I mean, that's like, and now it lives for somebody else too. Like it exists for someone else. Like that, you know, scene of the beach in England that is shared with a person who lives in Kentucky. We won't name any names. Now exists for that person.
Right.
It was always there. They just didn't know about it.
It doesn't make it any less or more real. It brings an awareness.
Yeah, I mean, it brings an awareness of this place that's beautiful, and maybe it inspires somebody to say, "Oh, I want to go there."
Yeah.
Or maybe it just for 3 seconds makes somebody feel warm and fuzzy, or like, "Oh, that's cool. That's cool."
Yeah.
Right. And that's what Instagram's all about, right? Mostly it's like it's supposed to be like, hey, let's share pictures of things that bring us joy, the things that inspire us, things that, right. And the other piece of the Wanderlust is that community aspect of it, to hopefully connect and share a story, and you will see that. I mean, it doesn't always happen, but you'll see it happen where people will ask a question about something, or it makes them think of something else. And I like seeing.
That's the magic, because it's not just like a wall where people are just kind of pinning, here's mine, and then walk away. When somebody comes back and goes, oh, tell me about this, or what is this thing? And then there's this dialogue where like, wow, like you're saying, it's not you, it's now them. And you're just kind of facilitating this, like, you know, treehouse for everybody to play in. And you're watching, that's the real magic. That's when all of a sudden, like friendliness is happening, where kids are like playing again as adults. And that's the key, I think, to longevity, to enjoying this life, to just being kinder to people. Everything that they put up on that wall, everything that they love, again, that they're sharing, it's kind of coloring in who they are. And so everybody who's in this community seeing them like, oh, well, now I know that like Doreen likes this thing and Eric likes this thing. And everybody's just like, this is phenomenal. They now know more about these people. They're not just like a name and a profile picture. They're a person. Right.
Exactly. And I don't mean to be Pollyannish about any of this. I think that it's important. There's a lot of ugly things in this world, and there's a lot of suffering, and there's a lot of unnecessary suffering, and intolerance and hatred, and just ugliness. But I believe that we're best equipped to address those things when we have when our soul is full, when when we feel good about ourselves, and when we feel connected to other people. And so that part of my, the early days of my career, and focus on public service and government, and crime control and stuff like that. Like there's still that aspect that exists in my psyche, that hopefully, and it's the same with the business related stuff. Like I think that hopefully through doing these things, we also do inspire people to do good things for other people. Because look, like in our community, I mean, there's so many different careers that are represented, and there's so many different stages of life and geographies and so forth that it's kind of amazing when you think about like the amount of good that could be done. Like if all the people who just happened to like be with us for a lunch break one day, you know, how many, like 70 some odd people or something, like if they just all feel a little bit better at the end of it, and that has just a residual positive effect on their day
and everyone they come in contact with,
and maybe we move the needle a little bit, maybe. I like that. That's not really the goal, but I like to
but you
think
can't
that
ignore that byproduct.
No, and that right, and I'm hopeful. In that way, and that does fill my soul and makes me want to do more of it. You know, believing that that's also possible.
Well, in this time where, and I've said this multiple times about this pandemic, where it was a time where it forced everybody to retreat, and I'm so thankful for people who are looking for, how can I use this? Like if the world or like everything around us is telling us these are all the things that we can't do. Let's look at what we can do, you know? And this thing, again, all these people in this community would most likely, statistically speaking, have never come in contact with each other in any other way, but by finding each other in this group that they have come to every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the last however long. And they have become friends. They've become family. I will not be surprised if down the road, you know, there are people that will like find, you know, like their person or their like significant other through this group. I mean, it's inevitable. And people, you know, again, like the people in England that we're now friends with and on the West Coast and that in Brazil, I love when people pop up and they're like, hey, I'm watching from wherever. And you're like, holy cow, like, why? Like, but it's the coolest thing. Like, how did they get here? Why do they want to watch? You know, if I'm on the show, like you and I, like sitting and eating, I joked, I said, if you would have told me that years from now, like people would be watching us eat lunch from across the world, be like, what for? Well, because you've provided this place of joy, this place where they can go and for an hour, just plug in, you know, like to just put life on pause for a second and all the realities of all the things you're dealing with, and to just go, these are my people. This is our crowd. This is something we all believe in and are excited about. And we can be silly. And I mean, in a world where, like you said, there's a lot of ugliness, and especially on the internet where it just runs rampant, like this is in a very positive, drama-free environment, and it's beautiful. I mean, I think that's why it continues to grow. People come in, it's not crazy big that they can, it's like Cheers. People come in, they start shouting out the names and they're like, this is a good place. This is where I want to be. And
I do worry about that sometimes, though. I do worry that the group becomes so comfortable, so familiar with one another that it then can potentially turn off new people. It does worry me, and that's a weird thing to worry about. But because you don't want to quash the familiarity,
right?
And that's what draws people back together. And you can't.
Yeah.
People are drawn to each other.
I think it's like when you're making cookies and you got to put in a little bit of the flour into the stuff, and they're like, all right, stir that in. Now fold in a little more, and hopefully it just.
Yeah, but I do. But we know that there's like when you see the number of people who are chatting in a lunch break, for example, and then you see the number of people who are watching, you know that the overwhelming majority of people are not saying a thing. And that's fine. That's fine. Like it's perfectly fine.
Enjoy it how
I
you
just
will.
don't want it to be that they do it because they don't feel like I never want someone like I'm projecting this, I realize, as the middle child probably. Like I don't want anybody to ever feel like they're that guy or that gal who comes to the party, you know, and you enter the room and no one realized you entered and no one's coming over to talk to you.
Yeah.
And you don't know what to do next. I don't ever want anybody to have that kind of feeling. And so that's worry. That's the part that worries me. Because it can be, it can be like, oh, you see those talking to this person, that talking, everybody's having a good conversation.
Yeah.
What do I do?
You're just in the corner eating chips.
Right. Right. Pretty much. Yeah. 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 Exactly. Which is also why we do I think it's important that we do the Monday kind of welcome of new members of the community and so forth. But most of like the thing is still like a lot of people who are watching they're not part of the community, like officially in terms of like actually following the group and stuff. And
right.
So you don't really have that, don't really get that opportunity. And then there's the people who are just like, I just leave me alone. They're like,
I just want to watch.
I just want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's fine too. As long as the reason they're doing it is because that's actually the way they prefer to engage. And
they're not feeling shoved over there, or they're not feeling unwelcomed.
Right.
Yeah.
There's only so much Zach Brown anybody can take. There's only so much Jason people can take it.
Right. People are looking at this going, good Lord, how much is left on this show? I don't know.
At this point, if you're still listening at this point, you either, number one,
gold sticker,
you're welcome, because you must really be enjoying this, because why else would you still be listening? Or number two, you're trapped under something heavy and
this is the only thing that's
you're waiting for help. You're waiting. You can't change it. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Remote died. And I can't be convinced myself to get up and find something better, or that this is just okay.
Right. Or you're out and about and you don't have your background downloads turned on over cellular. And so you like, this is it. You're like at the bottom of the barrel of your podcast, and
stuck in an airport somewhere, and they're like, well, there's nothing else new.
Yeah. Or you're on the airplane. You're like, I can't get anything else. I thought I synced, but I didn't. Those moments. Yeah.
I had that where I got on the plane. I thought I had like 4 movies downloaded. And when I got there, it was like nothing had gone through. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, the other one, which was worse, was when I had downloaded the movies. And then I got there, and this is when they had just changed over the whole iPhone, the headphone like connector.
Yeah.
And you had to get the dongle.
Oh no.
And so I had my headphones.
Yeah.
And I got on the plane and I was like, all right. And I sat down and I went to plug it in, and I was just like,
Mm-hmm. And you're not the guy who's going to just play with the sound on.
No, somebody hear the music and the thing.
There are those people.
Are you one of those people that watch with the captions?
Okay. It depends.
Okay. What's your depends? Like why? And I'm not talking about diapers.
No. Downton Abbey, I watch with captions on.
Okay. That makes sense to me.
Typically it's like any show, especially British shows, where there's a lot of varying accents. Like if it's one accent that I can settle into, that's fine. But if it's like there's a whole bunch of different, I can't.
Okay.
And so that's why I will watch with my kids. They watch with captions on all the time.
Why has this become a thing? Like
everything.
I don't get it.
I think it's because they were yelled at to turn this down frequently enough that they realized that, I can just turn the captions on and then I can hear what they're saying, or I can see what they're saying, even if I can't make it out. Yeah. I think that's what it is.
I mean, you do you, boo boo, but I mean, it's not my deal.
I can't, because I'm just drawn to the captions. I end up watching the show through the captions.
Right. And then you're not watching the people and you're not seeing what's happening. And you just see like in parentheses, like loud explosion or like whatever. Like, well, I would have seen the explosion had I been watching the thing, but now I'm looking at the thing.
There are times where I will switch the captions on if I think I can cheat. Like if someone's speaking in a foreign language and I want to
and you're going to get some. You're going to get some. Okay.
Yeah.
I've done that. No, I've done that.
Or there's background chatter and it's kind of like, now I don't know if I'm supposed to be able to hear what's being said or
but it's in there,
because sometimes the captions will say, inaudible conversation or something like that. Right. But sometimes they actually put there what they're saying, like, oh, now I know something that.
And you wouldn't have caught that any other way.
Mm-mm.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. So there's that.
so there's that.
We'll be right back after this.
Sure, and we've all been there. You're standing 3 feet away from a lovely lass about to ask for a date, but you lose the nerve. We'll say goodbye to those weak knees and say hello to MacGuffin's Liquid Courage. Made in the bogs of Ireland, MacGuffin's Liquid Courage Irish whiskey is like having the Emerald Isle in a bottle. It's so authentic, you would swear you can smell the peat. Here's what some of our satisfied customers have to say. MacGuffin's ruined my marriage. MacGuffin's made me believe I could fly. Because of MacGuffins, I am no longer welcome at Rico's Corndog Castle. MacGuffin's Liquid Courage. Smell the peat. Smell it!
So, okay. So you've got the videos, you got the thing. It's all about creating. I always find this part fascinating. When somebody talks about the beginning of their journey and then they're talking about what they're doing, and when their desire or their goal or something that they hope for is the byproduct of what they're doing currently, is such a really cool thing. Because obviously you're in the middle of it, so you don't always see the forest for the trees.
No, I'm not even in the middle.
For just getting for just getting that, like, to sit back and listen to this, where you're like, I just want to make people happy. And now you tell this whole story about what is happening right now, the current of the community and people connecting, and you're looking, you're like, you're doing it. You're literally, it's happening, like, as it's going.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Way down the road, when the final seconds of the video plays of your life.
Oh God.
What do you
took a weird turn.
Well, no, this is still a good outlook. I'm not just like getting morbid here, but like, what is
fell down?
Like, looking back,
especially for the person who's trapped under something.
what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want this to be left behind? Like, when it's all summed up and they go, Jason Canapp is left, and they just go, that was him. This is what he left behind. What do you want your legacy to be?
Jesus, Zach. Not that. I don't want that. No, don't print that.
Well, we can edit that out, Corey.
Jesus and Zach. I think that's what he meant.
No, but this has been a new question that I've asked people, and it's it's fun to watch people get tripped up on this, and then really, like, have to boil it down to this thing.
Well, I don't know. I think it's complicated, because I don't think there is like a if you boil it down to one thing. I mean, I think that everybody wants to have an impact, wants to have mattered, wants to, like, some people, you can call it legacy, you can call it impact, you can call it whatever, but I think that's important, that element of it, that and I think we all do, right? You don't have to do something that's printed in that's worthy of, like, or noticed. I shouldn't say worthy, that's noticed and printed in a newspaper, or that's celebrated by large numbers of people or something. You don't have to invent a new religion or discover some asteroid. Like, you don't, like, there's a way to make impact in meaningful ways that most of the world will never know about. And so I don't want to get tripped up over that, like, the success element of it, as much as it's like, I just want to, like, it goes back to making people happy. Like, I want to, like, yeah, you know what? Things were better because he existed.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. Like, yeah, like, he lifted people and made some stuff possible, and that wouldn't have otherwise happened. Like, good stuff, not bad stuff. And I think, I don't know, I don't get caught up in it too much, is because I do see the residual already in my, like, I see the butterfly effect happen.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that I've had the benefit of enough years to be in situations where I have both benefited myself and also have been able to do good things for other people, that it's, you see it, you can see it happen. And that's good. That's cool. let's, and I think if you have kids, it takes a different, then that like has a different element to it too, because then it's like, yeah, you can, I really want to matter to the world, but I really hope that I did something okay with these people I brought into the world.
Yeah.
Because they didn't really have a choice. And hopefully I didn't screw it up too much.
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing. I don't know, Zach, what's yours? Has anyone asked you that question?
Yeah. Jordan asked me that. He was the last person on the show. He was like, what's yours? And I think it was the same thing where I was like, I want people to be like, he was there. Like whenever I needed somebody or whatever, like when I reached out, like that was the guy who was either supportive or positive. Mm-hmm. Like you get in the whole Enneagram thing and that sort of thing. Like I'm a 2. So it's the encourager. It's the person that's like emphatic. It's the, like I'm here to lift you up. Like not for the sake of glory, just to be like, I feel good when I know that other people are feeling good.
Yeah.
And it's a simple thing where it's just like, we have a limited time on this earth. And like, did I have a positive effect or a negative effect on somebody? And just be like, man, like, were you struggling? Were you having a bad day? Were you in a bad season of life? And because of my sharing a day with you or some time, or even like a few minutes, like just, when you're like getting rung up at a grocery store, ask that person how their day is. I said that, recently I was somewhere and I just said, hey, how's your day going? And they just went, oh, thank you. Or thank you for asking. And I looked, I said, you're a person. And I was like, how do we not ask people how they're doing? Just
please don't ever do that to me.
Ask you how your day is.
No, if I'm there with you and we're checking out something, don't start a conversation with the checkout person.
No, it was like they said, how are you? I said, I'm good. It was a simple thing.
I know. I just, me. I'm just
I care about how you're doing. This guy really just wants to get on with his day.
I start
Go
thinking
watch his
about
videos.
Yeah, I start thinking like if every person in line asked this person how they're doing today, like it's really going to get super annoying at some point.
Sir, this is the 10 items or less. It's an express. We're trying to get people through.
I don't have time for that. Plus, are they really going to tell you how they're doing? Like, and what if they do? What if they're having a bad day? They're like, well, let me tell you what happened. Died. And they're like, oh no, I'm sorry. Because at any given time, every person has some quiet battle that they're fighting.
Oh, sure.
So like
totally.
So everybody's, when somebody asks you how you're doing and you say, oh, I'm good, you're lying. You're not being fully truthful. At least.
Well, what if you're having a good day?
You can be having a good day, but there's that one thing that's worrying you or problematic, or that thing that's growing on the back of your neck that you don't know about. Like there's all this stuff. I don't know. I will tell you
this right here. This is a perfect, just a glimpse of who Jason is. Just looking at, you don't know. There's something going on.
Well, I will tell you this.
Okay.
There are moments there's moments in my life where there's like these one-liners things, like these moments from a conversation that happen that are said to me that stick with me, like have stuck with me for years and like decades. Okay. And so there are those things, like those things.
Have I said any of these things to you?
No, I don't think so. You're not on the list.
It gives me something to work forward to.
But there's like little things that do make a difference. Like somebody saying, I'm really glad I met you.
Mm-hmm.
Or somebody like recently, somebody asking me this is in a healthcare setting where I was kind of dealing with a family member who's having healthcare stuff, and and the focus is on the person receiving care, right? Mm-hmm. But the person, there was a nurse who turned and said, How are you doing? But didn't ask in a way that was like this passive, like, I was like, you knew they meant it. Yeah, they were just like genuinely saying, like, how are you doing? And I'm like, oh, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. Like that stuff when it's not that your thing at the cashier isn't genuine. It's like it's that the context matters, right? Like, oh, we're in
absolutely.
A hospital environment and the person's asking me how I'm doing, like that they're in caregiving mode. they're just turning this around. Like that's interesting. Or you want something that'd be fun, like maybe like a little footnote on the tombstone kind of thing. Not that I want to be buried, I actually want to be cremated, but that's a different story. It would be
We're learning a whole lot today.
the guy. I think there's this guy I worked with sort of tangentially at a veterinary specialty practice in Virginia, and he joined some different companies now in Florida somewhere. But he was a marketing person, and he said to me once, and I don't remember the context of the conversation anymore, but he said, Jason, you are the king of possible.
Oh,
I was like, oh, I like that.
yeah. That makes Michael Jackson's the king of pop like really lame. The king of possible. You're like,
well, it's like that's kind of a cool thing to kind of to be known for. Like, oh, he's the guy who just can make stuff happen. Doesn't make it. It's like, don't say it can't happen. Like, Jason's here. That's kind of fun. I'm gonna get a cape. That kind of thing. You know, but I do have that attitude. Like there's we
I'm gonna get you a cape now.
I really do wish capes would come back.
Listen, when I was in youth group, there was a girl who actually wore a cape every single time, and she went by the name Captain Awesome.
Oh,
like when I first saw it, I was like,
did she need help, or was she just like
completely normal? And it was just like it was like a cartoon character that, you know, like where like that. Dun. Yeah. But it was serious. Like this was the most genuine person. And she was just like, this is going to be a thing that I do. And everybody knew. I mean, her name was Sarah. It wasn't like we didn't know what her actual name was, but she just decided, I'm going to be Captain Awesome. And at first you're like, that's weird. And then you embrace it and you're like, it's Captain Awesome. Like, yeah.
Did you call her like Ka for short, or did you?
Nope.
No, you just, because that's a lot I
don't think I ever really interacted with her, so I wasn't like, hello, Captain Awesome.
So
ahoy, Captain. But I was just like, yeah, that's. I remember when new kids would come and they'd be like, is there a girl wearing a cape? I'm like, yeah, Captain Awesome. Like,
I mean, was it like a black cape or a colored cape, or was it? There's so many questions now.
Here's the deal. It was a pink cape with like lace trim.
What do you mean, on the edges? Like
on the edges, yeah, you know, the trim. Like on the outside,
you weren't curious, like you didn't want to know, like, do you have multiple capes? Or do you have to launder this frequently? Do you have?
Where do you launder your cape?
Was it long? Like, which could you possibly?
It was like a Batman cape, like right down to the bottom of the feet, and I believe there was a tiara involved.
I feel like you're making this up.
I've.
This was like a fever dream or something.
No. Like I have multiple. Like there, people saw this. Okay. I'm going to have to go back to like my videos that I used to film back in the day and see if I can find Captain Awesome in the background somewhere.
Oh, I think it'll be pretty obvious.
Yeah. Which one is she with the cape? I don't know. It could be, I think capes could come back. It just has to be the right.
After that story.
Well, we were in Pensacola, Florida. I mean, if you're in like, you know, like upstate New York or something where it's cold,
warmth. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Why did Darth Vader wear a cape? He didn't fly. I know it's cold in space, but like,
help you.
Why is he wearing a cape?
I mean, is it? I think it's just for effect. Like it's like
the helmet is a necessity.
I mean,
it's a breathing apparatus. Yeah, but Lando,
I think there's a bit of
style.
swag. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like I think there's a bit of swagger that you have to have. Like it's like you don't just.
It sets presence. You walk into the room and you go, that guy's wearing a cape.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think that's why he did it.
But it's the attitude. I don't think everybody can wear a cape. Like not everybody can just walk in and be like if you walk into Geyser Point wearing a cape, they're like, look at that guy. But then you see like Lando Calrissian walks in, you're like, yeah, that guy's wearing a cape.
What are you trying to say?
You wear shorts and Tommy Bahama shirts.
Yeah,
I just don't know.
Tommy Bahama shorts too most of the time. But
I just don't see that a cape goes with that.
Well, that's because you know me as Tommy Bahama guy. But if I walked in, like say I moved to somewhere new, let's say I moved to Eugene or Oregon, for example.
Very specific.
And like the first day there, I just started wearing a cape.
Are you still wearing the Tommy Bahama clothes?
No, it's Eugene. It's Oregon. It's going to be too cold for that probably.
Okay.
That doesn't matter.
It doesn't
matter. I could still wear the cape. even with the shorts, but it would be the guy who wears the cape with the shorts. And so it wouldn't be weird. But then you'd come to visit and then you'd say, dude, you're wearing a cape.
You doing?
And I'd be like, I know.
Yeah.
And you think, why? That's so weird. And
because this is Eugene, Oregon, Jason.
But everyone else is used to it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. That's why I move around a lot.
We're nearing down the desire to where you can where in the world you can get away with wearing a cape.
Where in the world can I get away with wearing? No, I think I explained this like on the After Hour show, right? It's like the Tommy Bahama thing. Like I'm so excited when I got here and I moved here and I realized
that's true.
Like, I can just wear this all the time.
Okay, so why Eugene, Oregon? Would that why is that the place where you'd wear a cape?
I have no idea. I've never been there.
It's safe. It's a safe location. It's a neutral zone.
Oh no.
Nobody knows who you are.
They're
That is
accepting
the
people,
cape.
I think. I don't
They're
know.
accepting of cape wearers.
San Francisco. The wonderful thing about we're just going to go on forever now. The wonderful thing about San Francisco is that like you can be whoever you want to be.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't matter.
There's probably a lot of people wearing capes.
They're probably, relatively speaking, they probably are.
If there's ever a lunch break in San Francisco, I think your goal is to find a person with a cape and then reference back to this moment in the show.
Okay. It might not be that difficult.
I was going to say, it doesn't sound like it'd be that difficult. Now, bonus points is if you find someone wearing a cape and they go by the moniker Captain Awesome. Like that would just like,
worlds colliding.
Yeah, that'd be great.
No, that'd be scary.
I don't recommend running through the streets just shouting, "I'm looking for Captain Awesome." I don't know. It could happen.
I think I would. It depends on where I am, but if I'm in San Francisco, I'd have a lot of people answer me.
Yeah, or if you're like on like Hollywood Boulevard, there's all those like rando characters. You're like, it's not really Iron Man. It's more like Aluminum Guy.
Aluminum Guy.
Yeah,
that's the low budget
version. They can get away with it. It's not copyright infringement. Aluminum Guy. Ricky Rat. It's not Mickey Mouse. We can't say Mickey Mouse. There's a lot of really random side
oil. Stop.
He is protecting his brainwaves from the aliens.
This is just reflective duct tape.
Yeah.
There's actually a really, and this, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but there's a really good episode of For All Mankind that may involve some reflective duct tape. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Like wearing of reflective duct tape.
The last few minutes of this show, it's just like the grab bag at a toy store that's blind bag. It doesn't make any sense, but it's all just random bits.
Yeah.
None of this is making it in the show.
Just use it against me someday.
I'm just going to hold this in the end. Jason, how can the people, our listeners, all the folks listening to this, how can they be a part of what you're doing and tell them about everything that you are participating in?
Or just a few things.
Whatever you want to talk about.
I think that the best way to kind of learn about what I'm doing and get involved with the community is if you're on Facebook, is to start there. And you can just go to facebook.com/Here with the Magic. You could then also navigate over to the group from there, or you can go to herewiththemagic.com/community and sort of join in there. And that's also how you would learn about like lunch breaks and so on and so forth. You could also go over to youtube.com/Here with the Magic. There's a theme there. See, and I don't even know how many videos are available or there now. I think.
Well, by the time that this releases, there's going to be more.
I mean, and counting the morning minutes now that are out,
there's got to be 200 something.
It could. It's at
With
least
morning
150.
minutes?
At least 150 for sure videos out there.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. It's a lot to wade through. There's actually a lot of really good stuff that most people don't see because it's the older stuff. It's stuff that was uploaded like a year and a half ago, and you know how YouTube is. They don't like put that stuff out. But then there's like 26 people who watched it But
not the 360 video with you standing back and above it.
you'll never see that.
Hmm.
Right. That's never going to happen.
That's bonus content for cafe members.
Right. And you can head over to on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram is, well, you know how to get to Instagram, instagram.com/Here with the Magic.
Oh, like the other thing.
And that's where the morning minutes are getting posted every weekday at 8 a.m. And the morning minute's cool because it's just this tiny little bit of just quiet time, like a little like special. Hey, let's just recenter. Let's just be in our happy place for just a minute, literally just a minute. And then we can go on, and then you can come back whenever you need it. Which lately has been a lot.
Yeah.
For me.
I need another minute.
I know. I don't know. I think that's it. Is that it? I think that's it. I mean, there's so many other things. I don't want to.
You do a lot of things, but we'll just stick with the main stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of Jason out there.
Good.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. We'll take you as you are.
You okay?
Thanks for hanging.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
No, I think I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
That's it.
Good. Thanks, buddy.
And that is that.
Well, that's all for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Once again, I'd like to thank our guest, Jason Canapp, for spending some time with us. Please be sure to check out everything Jason is involved in by searching for Here with the Magic on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Want more of The Zach Brown Show? Check out the entire backlog of episodes on your favorite streaming service. You can also follow on Instagram and give us a like on Facebook. I'll post behind-the-scenes pictures and updates on all the latest episodes, so like, follow, comment, and subscribe. And if you're enjoying the show, I'd very much appreciate it if you'd take a moment to leave a review in iTunes. They're very helpful in getting the show to more listeners. And more listeners means more friends. And more friends means more stories to share. You see how that works? I'm Zach Brown, and I want you to remember, there's always room for Jell-O. Have a good one.